From 12 News, this is Newsmakers.
What does summer mean when you are the mayor of Providence? On the one hand, the city is packed with people enjoying outdoor dining, water fire, and PVD Fest. But it's also a time of concern about public safety due to the perennial rise in violent crime. How is the capital city's new leader handling it all 6 months into the job? Our guest this week on Newsmakers, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White alongside 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi. Providence Mayor Brett Smiley, welcome back to the program. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let's start with PVD Fest. Your administration took a lot of heat for the changes to this year's art festivals. You proposed no block parties, no open containers, moving it from June to September, and changing the location. Since you made that announcement, it looks like, and just correct me if I'm wrong, that you've softened your stance on some of those changes. Are open containers coming back?
Open containers are not coming back.
Okay.
What we're trying to allow for, and yes, we heard some feedback, and I try not to be rigid, and I listen to feedback, and so what we're trying to allow for is for the restaurants and bars that want to try to attract more patrons and enjoy the financial benefits of this festival to do what we call extension of premises, to move outside into the sidewalk and maybe into the parking lane.
Well, so you say try to allow for it. You're the mayor. You can just make it happen. So are you going to do that or not do that?
So what comes first and foremost for me is public safety. And we are historically low in our staffing in the police department right now. And when you do a street closure, it requires public safety personnel to make sure that those people are safe. Why we are trying to do it and haven't yet committed to it is we're running the staffing models. We're working closely with the Providence Police to see how many officers they think they can have available to cover these facilities.
That? I mean, you've done this before. I mean, PVD Fest had the, open containers, so this would even be less than that. You know the numbers you needed before, so why wouldn't you just apply those numbers now?
No, so we know the numbers that we need to protect the new footprint, which is all along the river, and we know the numbers that we need to protect water fire, because we do those regularly, but now we're adding on top of that for a block party or an extension of premises on a business on Westminster Street or on Washington Street. And so we need to look at who's got summer vacation scheduled when in the police department. We need to make sure we know what staffing we have available, and then we will put out a detailed guide to downtown businesses so that they know what their options are. Their options might be to be able to move into the sidewalk with no security personnel required. It might be that they could hire their own private security at their own expense. It might be that they'll be allowed to have a block party in a parking lot or even do a street closure on a small side road if we have the staffing available. The festival isn't until the second weekend in September. We've got plenty of time to work this out, and we're trying to be flexible. And so that's our hope. That is the area in which we have shown some flexibility. What's not changing is the date. And by the way, I think people are excited about the date. There's not a lot of controversy around that. That date was picked specifically to try to maximize economic impact. There's a drop-off in business after Labor Day, and we're not changing the footprint of the festival itself because we want to highlight our waterfront, we want to enjoy that incredible pedestrian bridge, and we want to give a family-friendly experience for people to come and experience the incredible both local talent and globally renowned headliners that are coming, such as Mavis Staples.
I just want to drill down a little more on what changed here, because I think part of the backlash was because I think a lot of people had this "if it ain't broke, don't fix it." If it ain't broke, don't fix it feeling. With it didn't seem like it had been a super violent event in recent years. Have we lost so many police officers in Providence in the last year that you can't staff PVD Fest like you did only a year ago?
So. There are a certain part of the community that were disappointed in the changes, but there was a whole lot of other people in the community for whom PVD Fest wasn't working well for them. There were some businesses that did really well under the old footprint, but there were a whole lot of businesses that did poorly. There were also a lot of families that said that they didn't feel safe or comfortable going to the festival as it turned into more of a street fair focused on open container and less on an arts festival. And so what was important to me was that we recenter on what I believe it should be about, which is the arts, and cementing our place as the creative capital and really the creative capital of New England. And so I'm not sure I agree with the premise that it wasn't broke. We have had in the past incidents. There was gunfire one year. There were some other kind of close calls. And by the end of the evening in the last several festivals, it was kind of a mess. And frankly, that's not the image I want for our city. And that's not what I think we should be promoting.
Did the backlash surprise you?
A little bit.
It did?
Yeah, a little bit. I know that people love the festival. I guess I underestimated how much people care about being able to drink in the street.
Really?
Yes.
You were surprised by that?
Yes. I mean, I really thought, there were three big changes, as you pointed out. Date change, location change, open containers.
Yeah.
Nobody really seems upset about the date change. They understand the rationale, and it's going to be a great festival. Not a ton of people are upset about the venue change, and I think people who have experienced our pedestrian bridge, have seen the Pride Festival and other things that take place down along the riverfront, realize that it's a great venue. The big controversy was around the open container. And if you're really there for the arts, I would have hoped that that would be less important, but for a certain segment of festival goers, that was the thing.
Well, I'll just, one more and then we'll move on. Listening to people, part of a city's job is to be fun. Yeah. That's how you attract folks. Is it possible that your office is too technocratic, too much in the image of Brett Smiley, and doesn't have enough people around to be like, Mayor, people just love that there's a warm weekend where they can wander around Providence with a beer and, there's some arts going on. Are you not getting a full view of like what different people feel in Providence when you're having these discussions?
It's a fair question, but honestly, like every other decision I make every day, it's about trade-offs. And so the trade-off in this case was, I think, to lift up the arts and to highlight that at the expense of the wander around with a beer. More public safety at the expense of more kind of freedom and liberties to carouse late at night. And that's a trade-off I feel totally confident was the right decision for me and for this administration and for our city. Different mayors have the right to make different choices on that respect.
All right, we want to talk about the city's finances and the budget and all that, but just to sort of broadly kick off that conversation, I remember well, and I'm sure you do too, when newly elected Mayor Angel Taveras took office from David Cicilline. He described the city's finances as a Category 5. I'm sure you remember that. It wasn't great for David Cicilline that he did that. What category is the finances now in Providence, would you say?
I don't know what the right storm analogy is. The circumstances back then was that we were in the Great Recession, and there had been crippling cuts made federally and at the state level. We're in a different circumstance here, which is we went through a traumatic national global event, and unlike in the past, the federal government shoveled money at state and local government, and it triggered inflation, some other problems. But cities, including Providence, were flush with cash. The challenge that I'm facing is that we have structural deficit problems that have been plugged with one-time expiring federal funds. And so what we've tried to do in this budget that just passed last week is to responsibly and kind of methodically wean ourselves off of those funds so that when they go away in the next year, we're prepared to live without them. Because for the last 3 years, we've been living heavily on them. And so I think it's a different circumstance than, 12 years ago? And we will weather that storm. I'll give you a little storm, and we will weather that storm. But it's an entirely different circumstance because those are one-time funds. They're going away. They're not coming back again. And to some extent, let's hope that they don't because it was a result of a global pandemic.
So everyone's interested in behind the scenes how these pilot negotiations are going. There's nothing to do with an airline. This is payment in lieu of taxes. This is getting money out of the colleges and the hospitals. I'll just briefly summarize how I view it. It sounds like you, and I listened to you with our former colleague Steph Machado on the Boston Globe podcast. It sounded like the colleges are playing ball. It's a negotiation. They know they're going to pay you something. They'd like to pay a little less. You'd like them to pay a little more, all that. But it sounds like, once again, as we've heard from prior mayors, Lifespan and Care New England, the big hospital groups, do not want to pay you what you were looking for. I don't even know if they want to pay you anything. Talk specifically about where it is with the hospitals right now.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because they do get lumped together. It's not the same thing. We're making good progress with the colleges. So then we have two major hospital groups in Rhode Island, Care New England and Lifespan. Care New England actually has a pilot agreement with the city. It's a 3-year agreement. We're in year 2. So that we have one more year to go on that. So I'm not negotiating with Care New England right now. I don't intend to violate that agreement. Certainly when it expires, I expect to renegotiate it. But that for now is kind of finished business.
So this is about lifespan.
So this is really about lifespan. At this point, lifespan is the only entity without a pilot and not in negotiations.
So they're not even talking to you?
I have met the new CEO twice maybe, and have told him I expect to start negotiating. He had said that he's open to doing so, but we have no meetings on the books. We've made no progress, and that's frustrating to me. The lifespan budget is bigger than the city's budget. The last time they made a payment to the city of Providence, which was over a year ago, was around $300,000. That's like me buying you a cup of coffee. I mean, that is a tiny payment. That is like an insignificant amount in their budget. And so I hope to make substantial improvements in their past history with the city. And they're going to say that they have financial problems.
I can say it for them.
Right.
I follow their finances.
I know what they're going to say.
They don't have, their margins are poor. They're not making a large profit most years right now, et cetera, et cetera.
And they would say that they provide a significant service to the city of Providence as the premier hospital in the state.
Right. So to both of those, I'll start with this. So they do provide a service to the state, but every person who walks inside the emergency room is not a Providence resident. The benefit of them being the state's only level 1 trauma care is enjoyed by the entire state. By the way, by the region.
And by the city of Providence, which sees a lot of violence.
Including,
right.
but not limited to. And so the taxpayers of Providence should not have to bear the burden of the benefit that is accruing to people well outside of the borders, including some people in Massachusetts, by the way. And so I just don't find that to be credible. And if in the contours of this negotiation they wanted to do some math about how many of those folks are Providence residents, I suppose I'd be open to that. But the reality is that is not Providence's hospital. It's Rhode Island's hospital. It's even called that. And so with respect to their financial challenges, and I think I know we just see this differently, I do not see this as an optional payment that they can make when they have a good year. I see this as an obligation that they have to the host community for the goods and services that we provide to them. And so, the last time I was on this show, we were talking about CEO pay because that had come up. Yeah. Just like they have figured out, in spite of deficits, what they need to pay an executive to be competitive in the marketplace for hospital executives, which I actually understand and respect. But they've figured out, even though we lost money this year, this is what we need to pay this person. I also believe that even though we might lose money one year or another, we have an obligation to pay the city of Providence for the goods and services that we appreciate and enjoy and receive.
One last question on that. Do you think Lifespan should be making a 7-figure payment to the city?
Yes.
You do? So well over $300,000
yes.
You want to see at the end of this negotiation?
Yes.
And we do have to go to a break in like 30 seconds here or so. But final thing on this question, as you walked into the studio this morning, your office sent out a press release that a bill was signed into law that would require for-profit businesses paying rent in nonprofit facilities to pay property taxes. That's going to start July 1st, 2024. So just so people understand, there's a cafe on the first floor of Women and Infants.
Yes.
Speaking of Care New England, I don't know if they're paying taxes or not, but just for the sake of this example, if they're not paying taxes now, they will in a year?
Yes.
And that's how that works. Do you have a sense as to how much money that's going to bring in the city yet?
No, it's going to be...
And I don't mean that one place.
No, I know. It's going to be millions. I don't think it's going to be tens of millions. I think it's going to be single-digit millions. And the reason we don't have... And it's frustrating. It was a kind of a challenging part of the argument at the State House this year. Part of the reason we don't have a good estimate is because we've never been able to assess these properties before. Mm-hmm. And so, and it's important. I am negotiating with the colleges. I'm going to negotiate with the hospitals. But that's not the whole picture. And so we do want to redefine the relationship generally. This legislation is a big deal. It's the first time that I can remember in my public service in Rhode Island that anything passed the General Assembly that gets anywhere close to the topic of taxing nonprofits.
Well, they have quite a battery of lobbyists up there.
They did, and we got it through, and it's a credit to the Providence delegation of reps and senators, and I appreciate the Speaker and the Senate President and the Governor for signing it. This is a big deal. So the Obon Pan and Women and Infants, the Starbucks that Brown owns, the private doctor's practices that rent office space, those will all now be paying taxes.
Now wait, 20 seconds, because Brown's going to squawk, because I think they say they do pay, right?
They pay voluntarily.
Yeah, okay.
They pay voluntarily, and I appreciate that. But if there were a change in leadership and they changed their mind tomorrow, they could do it.
All right, we do have to go to a break. Our guest this week is Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. When we come back, the future of the Cranston Street Armory, which has made headlines for not so great reasons. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. This is Ted Nesi. Our guest this week is Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. Mayor, I want to talk about the Cranston Street Armory. A lot of attention has been focused on the Cranston Street Armory in the past month, and more so than in recent years, I would say, and not for a good reason. Controversial trip to Philadelphia by two high-paid former, now state directors. I won't get into all of that. It'll just take too long to summarize, but a lot of people are familiar with it. I want to focus on what it all means to the Armory right now, which is vacant and has been for some time. When is the last time you and the governor discussed the Armory?
Relatively recently.
Within after the budget?
Yes.
And what did you guys talk about? What did you come away from that conversation with?
Right. So I think, as I think people know, the state had hired a company to analyze the finances of the proposal, and so that report is not finished yet, or at least it's not shared with me yet, but we talked about waiting on the analysis to come back and about the future use of the Armory. I mean, I've been outspoken from the beginning about my desire to see that building become a productive asset for the city and for the surrounding area. I've been very excited about the proposal. I think you
liked the scout plan.
I do. I like the scout plan. I can't say that I'm an expert in the financial details.
Do you think they got hosed?
I mean, I certainly think that the behavior was unacceptable and an embarrassment for the state, and it seems like in so much as that speaks to kind of their relationship with the state is unfair. I think it's absolutely fair, and we do this with all kinds of proposed development deals, that you poke and prod and negotiate over the financial terms. That's entirely appropriate, but the kind of reputational harm and is unacceptable and not how I want to do business in Providence, not how we do business in Providence. And I hope that we can leave that behind us and just move forward, because this is an old building that was built for a specific purpose that is not the future use. And so it's going to be expensive and it's going to be difficult. If it were easy and cheap, it would have been remodeled and renovated and restored a long time ago. But we can do complicated projects in this city and in this state. I mean, for many years, the Masonic Hall, which is right behind Ted here on the screen, was vacant. That was a complicated, hard project. The power plant, which is now home to the Rick URI nursing program, was vacant and a complicated single-use building that was never intended to be anything other than a power plant, and is now an incredible asset to our city. This is another one of these things. It's going to take time, it's going to take money, but it can be fabulous when it's done. And that's what I'm focused on.
You know, I know you are going to want to be careful to preserve your relationship with the governor, but the way he's been talking more recently, it sounds like he's close to being fully against the project. He said even before the report came, he said, you know, especially as he started to get in a fight with them about the lunch with the lobbyist and everything, he said he does not think it's a good deal. That doesn't sound like he's waiting for the report. That sounds like he kind of has made up his mind. He does not like this project. So, you know, how much hope do you have left that this thing is really still alive? Because the governor has to get behind it, I assume. I don't think you could get it done around him.
The city, well, I couldn't do it around him. I wouldn't do it around him. It's a state building. I don't own the building. And the level of investment that it's going to take is more than what the city can afford. But I have hope for two reasons. One is this, unlike other projects that were privately owned, and looking at the Masonic Temple again, that are privately owned, this is currently a drain on the state. And the state is spending single-digit millions of dollars every year with duct tape and patches. And so it's it's costing them money. And so unlike other projects, there is a purely financial argument to be made that it's worth doing something with it so that it's no longer a drip, drip, drip drain on state resources with nothing to show for it. And the other reason that I have optimism that it's going to get done is that there is huge community support for this building. Huge. That community support has been vocal and and protesting a little bit lately, but it's not like you're pushing against the neighborhood will, or that you're trying to ram something through that nobody wants. In fact, everybody wants to see this thing, and so we just need to negotiate a deal that's financially viable, and that's how these things always work. I mean, the first draft of the Superman building, the first draft of, I would imagine, I wasn't there for the soccer stadium. I would imagine there was back and forth of, no, this is not acceptable. We think this is a little rich. We think this is something that you forgot. And then that starts the negotiation.
All right. I have to ask you about this heist because it's kind of my jam. But
you're going to have to rename your book.
We'll see.
The second to last great heist. Right.
So early Thursday morning, police say a group of criminals pulled off a sophisticated, in their words, heist at Santander Bank on Federal Hill.
Yeah.
I should note we're taping this on a Friday morning. This is a developing story, so it could change by the time folks are watching all this. But what have you been told by the cops about what happened there? What do you know?
So I can't say a lot. We do know.
Does that mean you know more than you can say?
I know more than has yet been disclosed.
Okay.
In the course of the investigation, but we know that there's about $500,000 that was stolen, and it happened quickly, and it appears to have been either well planned or someone who knew what they were doing, and
like inside job knew what they were doing.
I don't know that. I don't know one way or the other. But in order for it to have been that fast and efficient, it seems like somebody knew what they were doing, and Providence Police and federal law enforcement are involved and actively investigating.
Well, let's continue the thread on crime here. Summer often comes with a spike in violent crimes in all cities, not just Providence. And there have been times when the state police have come to assist with coverage in the summer months, and that has often created tension between state and local law enforcement. Is that on the table this summer for you? Because you started this show when we talked about PBD Fest, about manpower being at almost an all-time low. The Providence Police Department, is it time to call for help?
For special events, perhaps, PVD Fest, I mean, there have been times...
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about regular coverage.
Yeah, I just want to frame it, though. So, for regular coverage, I do not believe that on a regular course of business, we are going to need to call in for special help. If we ever had a real emergency, just like we might in fire, we do call for mutual aid.
Sure.
And we would, whether that's state police or surrounding departments.
But not regular patrols. You're not
there
there
for regular
yet.
patrols, it is not necessary.
Right.
I've got one more question for you, and this really took me aback. This was reporting by Amanda Milkovits at the Globe, who's covered crime, obviously, in Providence for many, many years. This was a recent murder of Juan Carlos Morales, the 19-year-old shot and killed in Olinville. She reported that his suspected killer, Kevin Giron, I might be saying that wrong, was arrested in May 2022 for shooting a gun in this city, got a 6-month suspended sentence. The same month he got that sentence, he was arrested again for carrying a gun with no license. He was released again, this time on $5,000 bail. Now he's accused of murdering someone. This is all in a 13-month span. Obviously the police can only arrest. They cannot decide whether someone goes away. But should he have been still on the streets after violating so quickly his first chance to get out after having a legal problem with guns?
I wasn't in those trials or privy to maybe all the information that the judiciary had when they made that decision. But to your point, I mean, I think our police department does an exceptional job of arresting criminals or people who break the law and holding them accountable and making good cases with strong evidence and then handing it off to prosecutors and judges. And then we have to trust that they make the best decision that they can with the information that they have.
Must be frustrating for you.
It's definitely frustrating, but without all of the information, I'm not going to cast aspersions on judges who maybe had other information that they thought was relevant to whatever that sentence or suspended or otherwise.
Do you see that as an outlier, or do you hear this complaint from the police about they nab people, Rhode Island leaders, Democrats like you, always talking about the need for strong gun laws, but then if you get picked up on a gun violation and you're out again and then you make another gun violation, it doesn't seem like they're very effective?
I mean, certainly in this case, I heard frustration from the police that this was someone who was known to us. It's not widespread complaints that I hear, but we make good cases with strong evidence that hold up in court, and then we have to trust the process that unfolds after we pass it off.
All right, we're very low on time,
Politics.
so got to pivot to
Yes,
politics.
thank you.
Are you going to endorse in the 1st District congressional race?
No.
Definitely not.
Definitely
No.
not.
It's
Why not? Why not be a kingmaker?
There, with 35 candidates in the race.
It's such an exaggeration. Only 25 as of this morning have filed.
Exactly. What I care about is Providence, and so I have said this to multiple candidates, but basically any candidate who calls, I'm happy to help them meet people in Providence, to have Providence have a chance to get to know them. I want a congressman from the 1st Congressional District who cares about Providence, and I have way too many relationships in the race, including people who represent Providence either in the State House or on the City Council, and so I think it would be a disservice to my constituents to risk supporting the wrong candidate, because what matters most to me is that we have a congressman or a congresswoman who delivers for Providence.
10 seconds left. How many of them have you met with so far, would you say?
6 or 8?
6 or 8 of
Yeah.
the 25?
Oh yeah, make room on your calendar. There's 15 more to go.
Providence Mayor Brett Smiley, thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Great.
If you
Thank
missed
you,
any
Bob.
of it, it's on WPRI.com. For Ted Nesi, I'm Tim White. Happy 4th of July. We'll see you next week.